This conference will now be recorded.
Today, let us enter into the major part of Java, that is Java object-oriented programming. This is very, very important. If you are good with this object-oriented programming, understanding remaining topics of Java will be easy for us. So, what is this object-oriented? Is OOP stands for object-oriented programming. OOP stands for what? Object-oriented programming. And in this, we'll be learning the topics like the meaning of classes, how to create a class, how to create object, this reference. Then we go with constructors, static keyword, packages, inheritance, polymorphism, final keyword, inner classes, access modifiers. So access modifiers like private, default specifier we call, protected, and public. We discuss about encapsulation, abstract classes, and interfaces. So this will take totally 5 classes for us to complete, including today. Today, let us start off with the first term, class. The meaning of class is like, already we know, a class is a collection of data members and methods. What makes a class? It's a collection of data members and methods. Like example, whenever we want to create a class in Java, we use a keyword class and the name of the class. I'm going here, employee. Open and close curly braces. Here we go with the data members like int, employee number, string, employee name, double, employee salary. These are your data members, means variables, properties, fields, anything you can call. Then methods. Let us go with a method like void set employee details. So whenever we say method, we end with parenthesis and we'll have a written type here. Then open and close curly braces and we write the code inside the method. Let us go with one more method, display employee details. Display employee details where we write some code inside the method. So what makes a class? It's a collection of data members and methods. Now, once we create the class, outside of the class, what do you mean by outside? After this curly braces, outside of the class, if I am trying to give value to employee number like 111, this will go with error. We cannot access these members outside directly. Then how to access these members? How to access these members outside of class means by using object. By using what? Object. How to define an object is like an object is an instance of a class. An instance of a class is what here? Object. Right? Instance means like a variable which occupies some memory space. So an object is what? It's an instance of a class. Then how to create object is creating objects. The syntax of creating object in Java is we go with the class name, then object name equal to new, it's a keyword, again class name, parenthesis. I'll elaborate more about this. What is the use of this? Like example, what is the class we have created above? Employee. So go with the class name and some object name e equal to new employee. In this, A is an object of class employee. Now, once you create object, this point is very important. The members of the class. What do you mean by members? It can be your data members or it can be your methods. The members of the class are accessed using objects with a dot operator. Members of class are accessed using what? Using objects with dot operator. Like example, with object a dot, now we can give value to employee number. A dot employee name, since name is of type string, the value should go in double quotes. A dot set employee details. See, by using object, after creating object only, using object with the dot operator only, we can access the members of the class. So this point is very, very important to us. Clear up to here, all of you? No.
Would you
What
please
is
repeat
important?
again? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, please. Yes, Shwetab, your question?
Would you please repeat again about the syntax and class name object? Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever you want to create a class, we use a keyword class and the name of the class. And in that we declare some data members, means variables. These are your variables. So for employee, what we give? We give with the number, name, salary, designation like that. No, that we call data members, properties. And we go with some methods inside the class. Depends on the application, we write some methods. Now, once you create the class, if I want to access these members outside of the class, then what we have to create? Object. How to create object? What is the syntax? We go with the class name, then object name equal to new class name. We have seen a scanner class. Scanner is equal to new scanner, right? Same thing here. Okay. So we take the class name, object name equal to new class name. Now, by like example, what is the class we have created? See, this name we should take employee, class name, some object name XYZ equal to new, again class name. Now, by using this object only, with the dot operator, we can access the members of class. Clear, Shweta?
Yes.
Right? We'll do a lot of examples on this. Okay. Now, one more very, very important point. Whenever you create an object of a class, don't assume that it is going to invoke the methods automatically. Again repeating, when you create an object of a class, don't think that these methods will get executed automatically. Only when you call the method using object, when you call the method, then only it will go to the method, the code in the method will get executed. Until you call the methods, the code present in the methods will not get executed. That one you remember. Now, let me elaborate all these parts using the program. Employee test.java. Open Eclipse. I click on project names in new class, employee test, main method. Now, in this, let us create a class employee. Whenever you want to create a class, what keyword we have to use? Class and the name of the class. Here we go with the data members like int employee number, string employee name, double employee salary. These are data members, variables, fields, properties, anything you can call. Then let us go with the method void set employee details. Whenever we call the method, when we call set employee details, now here we give value to employee number. I'm giving it as 111, employee name, some name within double quotes, employee salary, some salary. Right? Now, let us take one more method, display employee details. Whenever we call display employee details, we'll display the value of data members like employee number, equal to the value of employee number, employee name equal to the value of employee name, employee salary equal to the value of employee salary. Display method is displaying of these values, data member values. Now, to run a Java program, which method is required inside the class? Main method. We require main method. Can we have this main method in class employee? No issues. Here it's not going with any error because Java supports multiple main methods. No problem here at all. But creating main method in employee class is not suggested. This is not suggested. We are not saying that we should not do. It is not suggested. The reason is the class in which you manage some data. Say you are managing employee data. The class in which you manage some data or the class in which you do some business logic, some logical programming if you are doing. In that class, try to avoid writing main method. I'm not saying we should not write. Try to avoid writing main method. The reason is in your project, if you are having hundreds of classes, and in every class if you go with main method, then it creates ambiguity. It creates confusion between the developers that which is the entry class, which is the main class. That confusion will occur between the developers. So in reality, what we do? In reality, we create a test class like this, employee test or employee main or entry class, something, any name, so depends on the application. Then we create a test class or main class with main method inside, and in this we create objects of other classes. So this will become like entry class. That's the way we work in reality. So whatever the words I said, it's only suggestions, not the rules. Now, in this example, when you run this program, it comes to this employee test class, which enters into main method. In this main method, let us create object of employee class like this, employee t1 equal to new employee. How to create object? I said class name, object name equal to new class name. Now by using this object, if you call display employee details, understand carefully, very important. By using object, I'm calling display employee details. Then what value it is going to display for number, name and salary now? What is the output of this program now? This output, what values it's going to print for number, name and salary? Yes, anyone respond?
It will show the employee number, employee name, and employee salary.
Yeah, what values? I'm asking about values. What value it's going to print for number, name and salary? What value it's going to display for number, name and salary? That is my question.
111,
Yeah.
Raj, then 10,000.
Yeah. So by using object, after creating object, did I call this method? Did I call the method?
Let's
No, right?
see. No.
Did I call the method? No. Then how it enters into this method and the code will execute? Just now I said no. When you create object, don't think that it will go to methods. No. Until you call, it won't go. So I did not call this method at all. Then when I call directly display method, then what value it's going to display for number, name and salary? Just think. I've discussed already in basics. If you are not giving any value to variable, what value it's going to take? Do you remember a concept like default values? Did I give this table to you in the basics first day? Default values. It's going to take what here? Default values. See here, when I run this piece of code, sorry, it's having main. No, we should remove this. I click and say run as Java application. See what values it's getting. See 0, null, 0.0. 0 null, 0.0, because whenever you create an object of a class, so when you create this employee object, what is going to happen? It's going to create a new memory. It's going to allocate new memory for your object, and it's going to allocate memory for your data members referred with object name even dot employee number, even dot employee number, even dot employee name, then it's going to allocate memory for even dot employee salary. So whenever we create a new object for a class, it's going to allocate new memory for all the data members, and the values present in this data members will be default values. Since employee number is of type integer, what is the default value for integer? 0. Employee name is of type string, reference type, default value for reference type is null. Employee salary is of type double, default value for double is 0.0. That's the reason when you run the program, we are getting the values as what here? 0, null, and 0.0. Clear this point, all of you? This is the major point of today's class. Got it? Any questions? See here? What is the important point? When a new object is created for a class, then it allocates new memory for all data members of the class, and the values in data members are default values. What values it contains? Default values. So let me provide default values once again for your reference. For integral types like byte, short, int, long, for all integral types, the default is 0. For floating types like float and double, the default value is 0.0. For char, a single space. For boolean, false. And for any reference type like string, the default value is null. Clear this point, all of you? Any questions? No. Let us go back to the program. After creating object, let us call the method even dot set employee details. Now I am calling the method even dot set method. Then it will jump to the method. This piece of code will execute. Now when you call display method, see the output what we get. See here 111 Rajan 10,000 because I call the method. Now let us create one more object. I'm creating one more object. Employee it equal to new employee. Now using this object, let us call the method display directly. After creating E2 object, I'm again directly calling display method. Now, when you call E2.display employee details, then what values it's going to print for number, name, and salary now? So what is the output now for this method? Right. So what is the output? Default values again. So blind rule. Whenever you create new object, it's going to allocate new memory for data members, and the values are default values. New object means your thinking should go to default values. Now let us call the method e2.setEmployeeDetails. Now see the output. So for E1 object, the data is same 111 Rajan 10,000. For E2 also 111 Rajan 10,000. So here in this application, how many objects you create, and if you call set method, these values will remain same for all objects, including employee number also. But in reality, at least they should differ with employee number, because once we give an employee number to one employee, we cannot give same number to other employee. At least they should differ with employee number. But in this program, what is happening? How many objects you create, and when you call set method, it is going to give same data to all the objects. The reason is when you directly assign the values to the data members, we call it as hard coded data. When you directly assign the values to the data members, we call it as what? Hard-coded data. Try to avoid hard coding. Try to avoid. I'm saying that we should not do. Try to avoid hard coding. Okay. How to avoid hard coding? By sending data to the method. By sending data to the method in the form of arguments. So when you call e1.set method, send the data to the method in the form of arguments like this. 111, the name and salary. Similar way, when you call e2.set method, pass the data required for your object 222, the name and salary. So now, since I'm passing some arguments to the method, here also I should go with arguments like int envo, then ename, double salary. Now what will happen? This 111 will go and store into envo variable, Raj will go and store into ename variable, 10,000 will go and store into salary variable. Similar way, when you call e2.set method. Now what changes I should do? This 111 you replace with envo variable value. This Raj you replace with ename, no more called hard coded, and 10,000 with salary variable. That's it. Now see, when you run, we get a different data for your objects. See, for E1 object 111, for E2 object 222. So how to avoid hard coding? By sending data to the method in the form of arguments. So this is the way to avoid hard coding, and this is always a good programming practice. Any questions? Now the last point in this program, what are the names we have taken for our data members? We want to use the same spellings for our arguments also, like this. Instead of envo, we want to take the same spelling of data member like employee number, here employee name and employee salary. What changes I have to do here? I have to make it as EMP number, EMP name, EMP salary. So see, when we run, understand, the output will be default values only. The reason is, when you are sending this 111 to employee number, since this is an argument, it's going to allocate a new memory here with employee number. Its arguments are like local variables. They are part of method only. So the value what it holds 111. Now what you are doing? You are assigning this employee number to employee number. So where the value will come and store in its own memory only. So the value what you are storing in 111, when you assign to employee number, it's coming and storing into its own memory. It's not going to the data members at all. So when the values are not going to data members, it takes what values? Default values. Okay. Then when the data member names, understand? When the data member names and argument names are same, then how to differentiate is by using a keyword this. By using what keyword? This. Okay. So when to think of this keyword? When the data member names and argument names are same, in order to differentiate, we use what keyword? This keyword. This represents current object. If E1 is calling set method, then this will be replaced with E1. If E2 is calling set method, this will be replaced with E2. So this means what here? Current object. Now so when we run, so we are getting 111 Raj 10,000, 222 Ramu 15,000. So what is this reference? This refers to current object. This reference is generally used to differentiate data members of a class and arguments of a method when the names are same. If the names are different, then we need not worry about this keyword. So maximum cases, it's a good practice to use this keyword. Any questions? Then in Java, when you are writing programs, we follow some coding standards, Java coding standards. They are, whenever you take a class in Java, the first letter of every word is capital. The first letter of every word is capital. So employee, only one word, only E is capital. Employee test, two words, E capital, T capital, E and T are capital. So when you take class, first letter of every word is capital. When you go with variables, first letter of first word is small, remaining words first letter is capital. Same case in the case of methods also. First letter of first word is small and remaining words first letter is capital. Okay, so when you are writing the programs or when we are using any predefined Java related, follow the Java coding standards. Let me ask the question once again. Whenever we create a new object for a class, what values are given to the data members? When we create a new object for a class, what values are given to the data members? Right, default values, right? It goes with default values. Now the objective is, whenever we create object for a class, we don't want to go with the default values. We don't want to go with what? Default values. We want to go with our own values. In this program, you are going with your own values when you call set method only. But now the objective is, when I create object only, we want to go with our own values. Then in that case, we go with the concept called as constructors. We go with constructors. Right? Now, take an example. To take a class, my class, with a data member M and N. Now, outside of the class, we create object of class, my class MC equal to new my class. After creating object in SOP, if you print M value space and N value. So by using object, you are printing M value and N value. Right? Then what values it's going to print? Since we did not give any value, it goes with the default values. It takes a default value. Now the objective is, we want to make M value as 10, N value as 20 when you create object. Then what we have to do? Inside the class, you create a method. Inside the class, you go with a method whose name is same as class name. See, this is a method whose name is same as class name. And inside this, we write M equal to 10, N equal to 20. So this method whose name is same as class name, this method only we call constructor. We call this method as constructor. See how we are creating object using constructor. See, this my class is what? It's a constructor. So in Java, we create objects by referring to constructor, by calling constructors. So how to define a constructor? A constructor is a special method whose name is same as the class name. A constructor is a special method whose name is same as the class name. Used to initialize the object. This is the meaning of initialize the object giving values to the data numbers, and does not return anything, not even void, and does not return anything, not even void. No return type. We should not go with any return type. So if I go with a method whose name is same as class name, go with a method whose name is same as class name, but having the return type like void, then this is not a constructor. We won't call it as constructor, an ordinary method. It will become an ordinary method. Ordinary method means by using object, using dot operator, we have to call the method. Now see, when you say my class MC equal to new my class goes to this constructor, the value of m and n will become 10, 20. Now when you print m and n value, it's going to print here 10, 20. In Java, objects are created using constructors. In Java, we create these objects using what? Constructors. Now, let us understand with the complete code. Constructor demo 1. Right click on project and in new class. Demo 1 with main method. In this, let us take a class, my class, with the two data members m and n. So let us go with a constructor, my class, which takes argument m and n. So even for constructors, we can go with arguments. Now, since the data member names and argument names are same, how to differentiate? This keyword, this dot m equal to m, this dot n equal to n. Let us take a method, display. Whenever we call display method, we'll display the value of m and n. M equal to the value of m space n equal to the value of n. Just I'm printing m and n value here. Coming to main method, create object of my class. We're creating object. Using this object, and we have to pass the values, right? 10. We are taking arguments, so pass the values 10, 20. So this 10, 20 will come and store into m and n, which are given to the data members. Now when you call display method, mc.display, the output will be m equal to 10, n equal to 20. Now see, when we run, we get simple output 10 and 20. So what is a constructor? It's a method whose name is same as a class name. Its name is same as class name. Use it to initialize the object. Should not have any return type. Clear? Any questions? No. Let me go with some important points on constructors. If a class does not contain a constructor, if a class does not contain a constructor, Java creates a default constructor. In a class, if you are not going with any constructor, then Java is going to create what? A default constructor. What is default constructor? Is no arguments constructor. No arguments. It won't have any arguments. Like example, if you create a class student, then inside this class, if you are not creating any constructor, Java creates a constructor like this. Student with no arguments, no code. This only we call default constructor. Default constructor added implicitly. Even you are writing or not writing. So this, if a class does not have any constructor, Java is going to create the default constructor. Let me prove this. So to prove this, let me open command prompt. So say here notepad student.java. So we are having class student. Let us create a class student with no code inside. Simple open and close curly braces. Now save this. I did not write any code inside this. Now let me compile this. How to compile? Java C student.java. So after compiling, when you see dir to list the files, we get student.class. We get see student.class file. Now I want to see the profile of this class. Profile means what? What data members the class contains, what methods the class contains. So in order to see the profile, we use a command java p. We use a command java p means Java profile. And what's the class name? Student. It's saying it's unable to understand this command. So let me set a path here. Like we have to inform that where java p command is present. So in our case, we have installed Java in C drive, program files, Java, JDK22. In that bin, you will find all the commands. So copy this address, come back to prompt and say set path equal to paste the address, semicolon, percentage path, percentage semicolon. Just we are informing that go to bin folder of Java home JDK and take the commands. That's meaning of this path command. Now say Java C student.java, then say Java P student. Now observe here. Observe. In this class, did we write any code inside? No. But after compiling, see it has created a class, and see inside that it has created a method whose name is same as class name. This only we call default constructor. So when a class is created, and if the class does not have any constructors, Java will create default constructor in your class. This point you remember, and very, very important point. Now, let us understand this point more using the program. Constructor demo 2. Right click on project and say new class, constructor demo 2. Here, let us take a class product with product ID and product name. Let us give the value to this data members using constructor. So I'm going with a product int PID string pname. Since the data member names and arguments are same, we'll say this dot PID equal to PID, this dot pname equal to pname. Then a display method. In display, we'll print product ID equal to the value of PID, product name equal to the value of pname. Now coming to main method, create object of product 1 equal to new product. As a constructor, you pass the product ID and product name. So 111 goes to this PID, mouse will go and store into pname, which are given to the data members. Now if I call product 1 dot display, output, no issues. Similar to previous program only, product ID 111, product name mouse. Now let us create one more object. Product 2 equal to new product. Okay? We'll say product2.display. Then, so what do you think the output will be? What is output? Say, observe here properly. We are getting error. We are getting error because in this class product already there is a constructor. Already there is a constructor, and if a class already contains a constructor, will Java create a default constructor? Default means no argument constructor. So already there is a constructor here, parameterizer constructor. Then will Java create default constructor? No. Only when a class does not contain a constructor only Java creates default constructor. So since this constructor is not present in the class, it's going with error. That's the reason it is suggested when a class contains parameterizer constructor, then it is the responsibility of the programmer to create default constructor. Programmer has to do this default constructor. Default means no argument. So see, the error will go off. Now the result will be default values. So what is the point? Very important point. If a class contains parameterizer constructor, then it is the responsibility of the programmer to create this default constructor. Programmer has to do this job. This point is important for future classes, and I'll elaborate more of this point when we come to inheritance. What is the point? If a class contains a parameterizer constructor, then it is the responsibility. It is the responsibility of the programmer to create default constructor in the class. The programmer has to do this job here. Right? So these points are important. Recap it. Any questions, anyone? No. Coming to the assignment part, Java OOP assignments. I'll be sharing one document here for the complete assignments. Which contains totally 10 questions. This will go with totally 10 questions here. So for today's class, you can able to complete first 5. Up to 5 you can able to complete. Okay, but try to complete at least 2 codes. At least write at least 2 programs. And see what are the class I asked to create. What are the data members I asked to create? What are the methods I asked to create? You have to go with the same spelling names, same spellings. What are the spellings I asked? You have to use the same spellings here. Okay, same standards you have to follow. And if already there is a class in your program, if there is a class student in your project, just say student1, student2, no problem. But data member names, method names, you have to keep same as it is, whatever I've given in the document. Okay, so try to write at least 2 programs. Remaining you can do later also. So for today's class, you can complete up to 5 programs. Right? And next class, we'll start off with the new topic. We'll go with 2 concepts, static keyword and packages, that we'll discuss in tomorrow's class. Thank you all. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow.